Hey guys, welcome to the final episode of CouchSide. After tonight's episode, we'll be discontinuing the playlist and bringing you something else that Gerald's going to tell you a little bit about.
Yeah, so CouchSide, one of our flag shows that's been around since the beginning, so a little over a year now, started with the Dr. Love episode me and Mario did on his couch actually a year ago. We're actually decided to step it up a little bit and get off the couch, essentially. This is our last episode of CouchSide. It's a little sad because I remember actually when we were discussing this show, and just how far we've come along as a LitTube team. I feel like it will better suit us now that we have access to YouTube Live and the different type of filming styles that we've learned over the last year. I think it'll be better suited to get off the couch and definitely create a new show. So stay tuned. We haven't figured out a name yet, but it is coming very, very soon.
And as for the subject of tonight's final CouchSide episode, we figured that with the tragic events that happened in Las Vegas earlier this week, that maybe now is the time to discuss our thoughts on gun control on this channel, which we haven't really done previously. There's a lot of, and this always happens after a mass shooting, there's talk about gun control. The firearm manufacturing stocks go up because of the fears on the right of gun control measures. And right now, the government's completely controlled by Republicans, so for those gun enthusiasts out there that are worried about having their rights taken away, you probably don't have to worry about that much.
No.
But one of the things that is being brought up, even by the NRA and the GOP right now, is taking a look at these bump stocks, like the one that was used by the shooter earlier this week, that essentially takes a semi-automatic rifle and turns it more or less into an automatic rifle.
Yeah.
Allowing you to fire off 100 rounds within 7 seconds. That's basically automatic fire at that point. So that's what happened earlier this week, that the shooter had several different rifles with that technology attached to it to allow it to go to automatic fire. And I'm fine with, honestly, outlawing the bump stock.
Right.
And I think that, but as we're going to get into this argument, Gerald, or this discussion, I should say, it's worth noting that just because you make something illegal doesn't mean the bad people don't have access to it. And that's really one of the big things this boils down to. And when you talk about gun control in general, you look at the criminals and the gun violence that they commit. Only around less than 12% of it comes from legally purchased firearms. It's by and large, unregistered firearms that have the serial number scraped off. It's mostly illegal firearms to begin with when the crimes happen. But what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had a bit of a change of heart in the last, definitely probably since the last mass shooting, honestly, because I was one of those people that really touted that there should be just a blanket ban of guns. But then I started thinking, these guns are already illegal that they're using. Are criminals really going to worry about some law that's already in place for most of the weapons that they're using in these mass shootings? You know what I mean? So what's going to stop people? If these people have the innate ability and want to kill, they'll still find a way to get these guns. Buy them in parts. Buy them overseas. There's ways of doing it, unfortunately, and that's the sad part about it. This tragedy definitely hit locally. There was a girl actually in our area that was actually one of the victims. She's in critical care right now, unfortunately. But so this touches a little close home. Not to mention my aunt, who was actually in Vegas in a hotel not far from where the shooting took place. That she just got married. Actually, congratulations on Tanya, by the way. But when I looked at this, and, of course, the cliche argument between the right and the left, oh, the guns should be banned, oh, you can't take my guns, and I just thought to myself, I'm like, what law could have stopped this? What law could have stopped the insanity that took place Sunday morning? What law could have stopped Orlando? What law could have stopped Sandy Hook? It was a very tragic, very tragic events in American history that have happened at the hands of guns. But these aren't necessarily legal guns, my friend. These aren't exactly, your next door neighbor who goes hunting on the weekends. These aren't, your ex-Marine who still loves shooting guns off at the range on the weekend because it was something that he did overseas. These aren't just average people killing these people, man.
And I think you have to look at the root problem here, which is, I mean, with gun violence, the thing is, there's no simple solution, all right? You can say, take all the guns away, or maybe make it, or maybe not take all the guns away, but make it extremely hard for someone to legally purchase a firearm. Like, okay, you have to be a hunter or something like that. But even if you do that, the thing is, you have to look at the fact, I compare it a lot with actually the drug trade. All right, you think about how hard is it if you really want marijuana or cocaine, to go out and get it. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And that's something that's completely illegal. I mean, marijuana, they're making progress, but that's another point. But most of those recreational drugs are illegal, no one's supposed to have them, and yet the country still gets filled with them. And I think it's a lot the same with firearms, honestly. Is that if you really want to try and solve that problem, it's probably going to take a ton of money pumping up ATF, pumping up the Border Patrol, and do we really want to spend all that money trying to combat the problem is the question, because that's probably what it would take.
Yeah.
It's just loads of money to those organizations to better secure the border, and then you're still going to have things leak through.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it, and I think that if you do major bans on firearms, in my opinion, it only really hurts the law-abiding citizen that just wants it for self-defense, or they're a gun enthusiast that wants to go to the range, or what have you. I don't think it really does a whole lot of detriment to the criminals, actually, to tell you the truth.
No, I mean, honestly, and from a personal point of view, me and my fiance, who we moved in together almost a year ago, there was a point in time where I was even thinking maybe I should get a gun for protection. I had some weird stuff happen in our neighborhood, but it made me think, should I get this? But then I'm like, well, if gun laws happen, I wouldn't be able to get this. I wouldn't be able to protect it. I'm not saying you need a gun to protect people. There's other ways of protecting people, But my thing is, the good guys with the guns, the ones that go out hunting, that don't have any intention of killing people. My thing is, let's look deeper. What drives some random kid on the internet to join ISIS? What gets a guy to join a white supremacist group, do his own thing, and go to a church and shoot up 6 to 8 people? What drives some guy to go to an Orlando nightclub and shoot tons of people? That's what I think we should be looking at. And again, I understand what people are saying. People will play the race card. I get this. But at the end of the day, there's something fucked up mentally. If you go out and shoot that many people, he shot over 500 people, Justin. There's something fucked up in his head. I mean, point blank and simple. There's no gun law that's going to screw that up, that's going to change that amount of fucked up.
And it's really hard to even stop that, because even if you have it as a background check, okay, we're going to look into your entire medical history, make sure you're not bipolar or some other kind of mental illness. We're going to make sure this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. You can look in very deeply to someone's background, and still there's a workaround. There's a loophole. It's as simple as, okay, what if this person over here with a mental illness convinces this person to be the straw man that goes in and buys the gun for him? Hey, I'll pay you $300 to go and get me a gun from this store. Stuff like that can happen. Like I said, the black market, the deep web, or all these alternatives to get illegal firearms. So it's very hard to just make laws that shut this down completely. Now, I'm fine with the bump stock ban, honestly, because I'm even hearing, conservatives and even the NRA is talking about regulating the bump stocks, which is a big surprise to me, honestly.
Yeah, that caught me off guard, honestly.
But I agree. There's no need for just normal citizens to have automatic weapons or something that converts something into an automatic weapon. No need for it at all. But even with that law passing, is it really going to get rid of the problem in its entirety? I don't think it even would.
Yeah.
And actually, to bring up something else that was the bump stock, is that one of the companies selling the bump stocks, they just sold out. after this most recent shooting. That just shows you when something like this happens, people get really scared of their rights getting taken away, and they just go out and buy. So already we have a company sold out of bump stocks. All these firearm enthusiasts are thinking, oh, it's going to get outlawed. I have to get it now.
Yeah, and that goes to my next point of view, because next point actually, I actually conducted a survey on our Instagram and our Twitter. On Instagram, we asked actually if you think there should be a blanket ban of guns. 100% said no. Now on Instagram, it got a little bit interesting because we were allowed a little bit more choices. So just give me a moment to pull it up. But again, they're saying 100% no. I mean, most of the people that at least, voted full agreement that no, there should not be a blanket ban. And I think they're 100% right. Because again, what does a blanket ban do other than take guns away from people that legally use them for not malicious, against human reasons? So let's take a look at and see what the poll, because I haven't checked this since I was at work earlier today. So we asked, should guns be completely banned in the United States? 23% said yes. Who needs them? 54% said no, it's all right. And 23% said we need more regulations. Now, I'm between we need more regulations and no, we shouldn't ban them at this point. And one of our followers, actually, my boy Kenny, actually even said, he said, when the Second Amendment was created, those fools, this is his words, had muskets. More challenging to have a mass shooting with that. Now, I say that, and that is 100% true. And I honestly believe in the mindset that they were probably thinking of hunting and probably defending against the British, who were trying to kill them all to keep them as colonists. And I don't think they realized how far technology was going to go. Technology has advanced well beyond their dreams and anything they could ever imagine. That is true. Now, when you say that, honestly, at the end of the day, yes, certain weapons should not be in the hands of ordinary individuals that don't have certain licenses or certifications, such as maybe the AR-15, maybe military-grade weapons. But here's the thing. Most military-grade weapons are illegal to regular, everyday citizens like you and me. And that's the problem. They're still able to get them.
Yeah, it's like I said, you want to solve it, and honestly, it's probably impossible to solve the root problem in its entirety, but if you want to get closer to the root problem and solving it, again, I think it has more to do with like pumping up security, pumping up Border Patrol, pumping up ATF, and all of that costs taxpayer money to do.
And let's be honest, this administration's not going to drop that guap on it.
And it's kind of like the war on drugs, but the war on drugs has been a massive failure.
Exactly.
I mean, so you have to understand what doing certain things is going to have the outcome. Now, another thing I'll point out for those that actually wanted the blanket ban on guns, just like get rid of them entirely and they're illegal. Think about the violent riots that would create in this country.
Oh
you think about, like, I just told you, all those people that ran out to buy a bump stock.
Yeah.
All right? In the light of the shooting. You think they're just going to willingly give over their bump stock and their guns? That's not happening. This country has, for better or worse, a gun culture that no other country has.
None.
And in fact, there's actually more guns than there are people in the country. There's like 113 guns for every 100 people or something like that in this country. So trying to expect that you're just going to blanket ban all the guns and just get everyone to turn them in, number one, it's not going to work. And number two, the criminals are always going to be able to get it no matter what. It's called black market, it's called deep web, it's called smuggling. And you can't totally shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, when you did make a good point about the deep web, about ways they can get this, about the amount of guns. And this is my thing, and this goes to the blanket ban point of view. There's been a lot of terrorist attacks in Europe, a lot of terrible attacks, random attacks. But they haven't been with guns. They've been with trucks driving in the crowds of people on an ordinary day. They've been bombings. There have been stabbings. The gun is just the catalyst American terrorists and violent people use here. If you take it away, you can still go into the metro, bust a canister full of an illegal chemical that could cause very big issues on the metro rail, and it'll take it through the metro rail in DC and cause a massive issue. Trust me, I took Homeland Security in college. I studied Homeland Security and criminal justice in college, where I learned a lot about this stuff and how terrorists think. And that's really where I get a lot of this ideology that I have about the gun ban. There's other ways. If these sick people want to take and kill people, they'll find a way. And that's unfortunate. That's terrible. We got to look deeper than just some random law that's going to try to mask the situation. Every time there's one of these mass shootings, there's always this massive debate on Facebook, on social media, in Congress about gun laws. And then 4 days later, nobody's talking about it. That's the problem. You want to bring it up, either keep talking about it and figure out a mutual way to fix it, or you look at the real issue of what caused the situation, instead of just stop talking about it once the sponsors on the news channels get tired of it. That's really the problem. It's something good for the news, and the news will keep repeating on MSNBC, on Fox News, and CNN. And sponsors will get rich off it because people are tuning in, because we have this sick culture where we decide that we love watching this stuff happen and unfold. And it's unfortunate that these tragedies are being exploited for the sponsors. The problem at hand is the mental game. The people that went out and did these, that have done these crimes, are not ordinary people like you and me. No, they're sick. And that's the problem in America right now.
And one last point I want to make, because I don't want to sit up here and act like there's no negatives to legal gun ownership. Yeah. Over 2,000 children every year die in accidents in the house. So if you're going to be a gun owner and you have a family, please be responsible. Buy a safe.
Lock them up.
Lock up your gun.
They sell them at Sports Authority. I mean, come on.
Make sure there's no way your child can get a hold of it or anyone else. Make sure there's no way. You may have a disturbed child that takes it to school and does something crazy. So please, if you're going to be a gun owner, at least be responsible about it and keep them under locks when you're not around them. So I would like to point that out as well. But overall, I think I made it pretty clear. I lean conservative on this issue. I just don't see a whole lot of upside to making it harder for law-abiding citizens to purchase firearms.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, and this is coming from a guy that voted for Bernie, proud liberal, I believe in a lot of just definitely progressive measures, but when it comes to this, I'm not even saying I've seen the light, I just see the logic behind it, and it's going to take a lot more than some blanket law to fix these issues. And that's what's unfortunate. I wish it was that easy. I really do, and I've spent a lot of time on social media saying that would fix it, but that's unfortunately the case here. We really just got to come together and realize that at the end of the day, we're one human race. No matter what race, creed, color, or sexual orientation you are, we're one. We got to look out for each other, because at the end of the day, we're all we got. So that does it for the final episode of CouchSide, dude. It's been an awesome ride. The ride ain't over. We're just doing a new name that allows us to do new and awesome things. So again, stay tuned. We'll keep this playlist up so you can watch and go back if you ever want to watch us for whatever reason. And just make sure you stay tuned for what's coming next, because it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exhilarating, and I can promise you, you will love it. So take care. Don't forget to comment and subscribe down below. We want to know what you think about the gun laws. We want to know what you think about any measures to take away guns. If that is the case, I highly doubt it. But let us know what you think. That's what this show's about. It's for you to have a voice. It's for us to voice our opinions. We're just two weird guys on a couch. But, we're just speaking to you. Start the conversation. Take care.